Hey everyone, Rob Howard here, just wanting to take you through one of my favorite encounters from when I worked with Irrational Games on Bioshock Infinite, and that is the Bullhouse Impound combat encounter. Now, one of the things that we discovered while working on the game is that a lot of the combat that we were putting in featured swarms of enemies that would come at you from every direction. So, just for example, it might be in a room like this. You would have guys coming from behind, through the door, through those stairs to the left, through the side rooms to the right, and of course in front of you in the desk area. And that would be a demonstration of maybe what combat was like before we iterated and kind of found what worked best with the player abilities, with the vigors and weapons and how they worked. However, by the time I began prototyping this encounter, we had learned some valuable lessons in this regard. So basically, we learned to keep the combat mostly in front of the player. And this has to do with how the player abilities work, how the enemy abilities work, how the vigors work, and just really the feel of the game, the feel of the play spaces, what the level design was telling us. All of these things were communicating this to us, that we needed to be careful about how we placed enemies around the player. So these positions are based on those learnings. One of the nice things about this play space is that it has excellent enemy cover, so I tried to take advantage of that. You have the balcony up here, which provides cover for enemies to utilize. You have this desk lobby area that the enemies can utilize as well. And also you have really cool player cover. So in the middle here, which I'll draw a box around this, there we go, you have, of course, what we call in the game a tear, which is something that Elizabeth can bring in for you, and doing that gives you that cover in the middle, and that's the combat solution we're going to use in the playthrough, which I'll show in just a bit. Alright, so let's do some shooting, shall we? Alright, so here we've brought in that cover. Now again, this is an optional thing, and you could not do this and use the side rooms instead. This is one of the things that makes Bioshock Infinite a wonderful game, is the variety of solutions in the combat encounters, but we've chosen to go right into the center here. That's such a nice, juicy piece of cover that I'm ducking under here, and I have ample opportunity to pick off the enemies around me, and I'm certainly not being overwhelmed. I'm being challenged every time I pop my head up. I'm getting shot at, but I'm not being overwhelmed either, so it's a good balance. And as you can see, they can still flank me. We didn't remove that aspect from the combat, but we simply refined it so that it wasn't a constant bombardment for the player. Now, one thing that's going to happen here in just a moment is a Patriot's going to come storming through the back door when we get about 2/3 of the way through the encounter, right about here, and that's just an awesome moment because you hear the voice, the robotic voice behind you, and you have to make some tracks and get out of there. But what's great is that this room has enough cover elsewhere that even if we take some damage, and we probably will from this Patriot, that we can escape and get to other cover in the room very quickly. But that's kind of a nice little adrenaline high at the end of that encounter. So that's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I encourage you to stick around at rohogames.com to view more videos just like this one.